Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Olsen. I write about movies for the Los Angeles Times. Welcome here to the first of our Chase Sapphire Reserve experiences at the Sundance Film Festival, presented by the Los Angeles Times. Over the next few days, we're going to be bringing you some exciting panels with some of those anticipated films of the festival. We're here today for the movie Wicker, and so now we're going to bring out some of the filmmakers and cast from the movie. And so we have writer-directors Eleanor Wilson and Huston Fischer. And from the film, we have Alexander Skarsgård, Elizabeth Debicki, Peter Dinklage, and Olivia Colman. Well, thank you all for being here. Eleanor, Alex, I'll start with a question for you. This is, first of all, since folks haven't had a chance to see the movie yet, and it is unusual to describe, and I feel like I would definitely bungle this at this point. Could you just describe the movie for people? Yeah. You want to do it?
Sure. So Wicker is our film, and it's about a fisherwoman who lives in a small village, and she's rather stinky and ridiculed for sort of being single and
unibrow.
Yeah, you'll see. Yeah. And one day she's sort of fed up with the ridicule, and so she goes to the local basket maker and asks him to make her a husband. This is right. And we'll see what happens after that.
He turns out to be super hot.
And completely made out of Wicker, obviously.
They call him Hot Basket.
I know this is an adaptation of a short story. How did that sort of come to the two of you, and how did you come to adapt it?
Our producer, Justin Lothrop, sent us this short story a couple years ago. We loved it. It was very funny. It had all these great lines from The Wicker Husband, but just felt like they needed to be in a close-up.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just like very intrinsically visual. You know, you think about what would this guy look like, and other things that are spoilers that I won't talk about. But yeah, it just jumped off the page, and so we were just kind of excited to. It's a challenge too, yeah. So it was a movie that like had a fun filmmaking challenge, which is kind of why we want to make movies, yeah.
And Olivia, you and your husband are producers on the film. Can you tell me about what you just sort of made of it when you first read the script?
I'd never read anything like it, and I have a sort of litmus test. If I imagine someone else playing a part, how cross would I be? And I would have definitely gone into battle to make sure that no one else got it. And
She's very competitive.
I'm all talk. There's this. It's just, I've genuinely loved it, and it's, I think, top 3 scripts I've ever read. And hello. Pressure.
The other two.
Big Mama's House.
Mama's House too.
And because for the other actors, Peter, the film does have such a specific tone to it. Was that on the page, and how did you sort of sync up to that?
Oh, it was all on the page, and it's, the idea that I loved reading the script was nobody has names. They just have, I'm the basket maker, or fisherwoman, somebody's wife. It throws you off, and you realize how much, I'm married to a writer, you realize how much time writers take coming up with names of characters, or backstories, or all of that. And this was just so wonderfully free of all of that stuff, that it really freed me up to be the dramatic basket maker.
Also, none of the women have names. They have their husband's job name.
Yes.
So this
is Taylor's wife. We had to explain to Elizabeth that the Taylor's wife was an important role in the film.
Sounds like a walk-on role, but yeah.
Elizabeth, did it take a moment for you to realize that the Taylor's wife was an important role?
No, I read it. I thought it was mainly about me. That's why I decided to wrote down. No, I mean, I feel the same as as Olivia, I thought it was an extraordinary script, and I was desperate to do it. And it's just been, it was an amazing thing to shoot. It was a really fun and beautiful environment to work in, and this cast are just exceptional. And I don't usually make films that I feel that the thing tonally that I loved about the script, which I really feel is in the film, is there's this very dark, wonderful comedy in it. And I don't usually get to work in that genre, so it was just a total joy for me to do that.
And Alex, what did you make of the script when you first read it, knowing you were going to be the Wicker husband?
I thought it was pretty good. And I was available.
But can you talk a little about the costume and sort of construction of how you become like I've seen the movie and I couldn't entirely tell you what is practical, what is an effect. Like what was the process like in creating the Wicker husband?
We were lucky because we had Weta from New Zealand, who obviously did all the Lord of the Rings movies. They fell in love with the script and with Alan L, and they wanted to be on board. So they went from movies of that scale to kind of devoting their time to making the Wicker husband. And it was an incredibly exciting and creative process to work with those guys on, because they wanted it to be practical. They didn't want it to be CGI. So to figure out a way to kind of, how do you apply that every day? How do you take it off? How do you make it interesting and in a way, obviously you have to be able to move, because it's like a lot of it is it's easy when you wear a mask that like it just becomes kind of flat. So you wanted to be able to see the expressions of the character. So we had Sarah and Joe from New Zealand and from Weta. They came out and were out with us the whole shoot and basically worked with me every day on this suit, putting it on, taking it off, and tweaking it and making sure that it peeled off the lips so I could eat. Those were kind of then, you can't, like, it's glued onto my face the entire day. So it's not like I could take it off at lunch. It's fully on my face the entire day.
You had a bib.
Sorry?
You had a bib.
They had a little tiny bib for my Wicker beard. And then they peeled off the eyelashes and the lips over lunch so I could eat. Acting is hard, guys.
It's interesting because those days, like, they got it down to like a 90-minute setup basically, which is pretty unheard of for prosthetics. Like normally you're hours and hours in a chair, which I think was great for the application, but then also you were in it all day. It's like, yeah, it meant you were really like, I think often with prosthetics you might be sitting in the chair for 6 hours and then working for 2 hours, but you were like working for 8 hours.
But they were exceptional in that regard, that it wasn't all about like, oh, it's going to look amazing. They took that into consideration. Like, all right, well, how's this going to work for every day for a month for Alex to wear it? How do we make this? We want to make sure that we're not halfway through the day when he comes out of the trailer to start the work, So, and it was I really, I love them. I love Sarah and Joe, and they were so sweet and so, and it was creatively fun to kind of play around with it. The different looks of the Wicker husband, you'll see it in the movie, but he goes through a couple of different stages, and it was really fun to play around with that. And then it was hard working, not because I was uncomfortable, but also it did move the mask, but you kind of had to exaggerate facial movements. So the whole notion of like just being in the moment and reacting with your instinct didn't really apply, because like, then you kind of have to exaggerate it, which feels kind of weird. So you have a sensitive, intimate moment, and then you go in. But
Those things I didn't know you were doing.
that's what I was doing. I mean, the sweet lovemaking scenes. But I just basically had to trust Alan L to be like, well, could you just exaggerate the forehead a bit, or give us that, or just like a little something.
It's a beautiful, subtle performance that shines through this complete prosthetic. But it's funny to think that this beautiful, subtle performance was you going like...
It's a complete clown Levy Gate. And I know that when you watch the movie, like what's going on underneath is like, ooh.
Because Olivia, your character has to fall in love with the Wicker husband. What was
Very easy.
Well, what was like to you the first time that you saw Alex in the costume?
I I think there's just some behind the scenes footage is there at the first time. Because I'd seen obviously the machinations of what Weta was thinking of doing, and was thinking of this, and it changed a bit, and nipples or no nipples, and all these conversations, and nipples obviously
Not a big question.
and it does take your breath away. It's incredibly beautiful, and also Alex's gentle voice coming out of this beautiful creature. I think there's going to be a lot of people with this guy with posters on their bedroom wall.
Wicked Wicker.
Well, Peter, it's funny, as the basket maker, in some ways you're like sort of the most sort of sane and rational character in the movie. You're sort of an outsider.
Ex-human beings.
You're sort of an outsider to this village. And what was that? What was it like for you? Like what was the relationship of the basket maker?
An outsider in my village. Easy to access that sense memory. I learned how to make baskets. Yeah, they were all impressed.
It was really good.
Really good. I only made 2, but it's very hard work, and you can be happy. In my office, I wasn't allowed to put them on the kitchen table. They're not that good. You have to wet the reeds and then read them. It's really cool. And we found a professional basket weaver to tutor me, which was a lot of fun. What was your question?
It's essentially that. Like how did you sort of like get into your character, and how what it was like for you playing the part?
He's really fun. He's an eccentric, very he has monologues to himself about his life and his torturous existence, and it's very dramatic and fun in the middle of this film. And he knows how gossipy the town is, so he chooses to stay outside of the town, but he has a real affection for this one.
Because Elizabeth, you are kind of the closest thing the story has to a villain. You play kind of like this sort of Karen, mean girl character in the village.
Okay, now, okay, I don't even know.
I'm walking out.
And just what was, how did you sort of approach that character?
Definitely not as the villain. I mean, so I've heard the tailor's wife, and part of what I loved about the character when I read it was that it's she sort of starts in one place and undergoes this sort of monstrous reckoning with herself, which I just really wanted to play. And she considers herself the kind of it's a really interesting dynamic, because obviously this village is a kind of, the fable village is a sort of prototype of, would we say, like a sort of Anglo-Christian patriarchal society with the dial turned just a little bit up, but it's not that far off. And so certain things are kind of seem absurd, but when you look at them, they're quite realistic. So all the women have, then their names are their husband's profession, which is just a sort of symbol of the fact that we can't wield any power or have any independence or choose our life path at all, And so she just starts in a way where she feels very secure in that status quo, and is very sort of old friends with the Fisherwoman. Everybody in the village has known each other their whole lives. They've known nothing but the village. And so then the Fisherwoman's journey kind of sets off this intense ticking time bomb inside of her, which is a really interesting, and wonderfully fun thing to play.
Yeah, the Wicker husband's sort of a catalyst for the village, and everybody sort of has like a little bit of a tweak at that moment.
What we loved about when we first spoke to Elizabeth about the role, Bo, was that she just understood the rage. I think like that there's a, how did I do that? And it was something that was so important to us with this character, because, we didn't want it to just be the villain. Like you said, it's like, it's the closest thing we have to a villain, but
she's an antagonist, but I wouldn't necessarily say she's villainous in her intention.
They antagonize each other.
Yeah, they are like the flip side of the coin. They represent sort of the complete opposite, and yet they're so inherently tied. They've grown up together, and because the Fisher woman represents the concept of choice, that is inherently dangerous to my character. So, yeah. So it's extremely difficult for her to process that.
Because Olivia, do you want to talk a little bit about sort of like the fisherwoman's journey in the film? Like at the beginning of the movie, she seems quite content and like happy with her life and what she does and how she is. And like in part through because of others, she suddenly has this feeling of like, am I living the life I should be living? And that's how she sort of starts her on the path to the Wicker husband. Like, how did you sort of like grapple with like where she starts and where she goes?
I wasn't have to grapple with anything because it was all so beautifully written. But she does start, yes, she's on her own. She answers to no one. She earns her own money. She's the only one with her own title, Fisher woman. It's only that she's had enough of being ridiculed. She just goes, I'm just going to stir things up. I'm going to order me a husband. And she expects that to be a bit of a laugh and just to really piss off the women folk in the village. And she doesn't realise until she sees him, goes, oh, he's amazing. No. And then they fall in love. And she doesn't expect that to be the thing that would piss off the village, but that's the thing that really unravels everybody, because they have an equal and loving and extraordinary relationship. And all of the couples in the village go, well, I want that. Why haven't I got that?
And I'm going to ask this as delicately and politely as possible. There are some intimate scenes in the movie between the fisherwoman and the Wicker husband. And just from a practical level, was that complicated?
Yeah, it was obviously with intimacy, like it's always very planned out, rehearsed. You know, the shots, we boarded everything that was intimate, anything that was like sort of tricky. I mean, the intimate scenes also sort of have some other practical special effects within them, so there's lots of like technical stuff going on. But when you plan it well enough, it's fine. Yeah.
I was asking if there was any splinters, Olivia.
Oh my.
The basket maker,
Still plucking them out.
the basket maker is very talented.
Yeah, he would not have.
He would not. But it was I mean, the intimacy was fun because it was the four of us and Ita.
Yeah.
And we were blocking it out.
I mean, the one thing that was, Alex and I are, co-directors, were also married, and it was quite.
Oh my God, you demonstrated it.
Well, temper now. Yes. Yeah. So yes, But you're right. See, you have stand-ins, but like our stand-ins who are so lovely, we didn't want to make them do this things that we just stood in ourselves, and it was kind of nice because it breaks.
Dini blocked it out. Ita and I blocked it out.
Yeah, the story for you and Ita as well.
Basically an orgy. Yeah.
Coming straight from Killian, it was like the same kind of shoot. Yeah.
But I mean, I think the thing creatively that was surprising about that is we were like, oh, these sex scenes will be funny, and they are funny, but they're also really hard. That took us by surprise, to be honest. They're like that.
Ita sort of created the art form of intimacy.
Yeah, she did.
Founder of.
And is an old friend of Olivia's. Yeah. We were just talking about Ita. Oh, Ita O'Brien. She sort of started. I'm just holding onto the chair in case she falls. Okay, I'm making a lip. Sorry. And Ita sort of started, certainly in the UK, the intimacy coordinator process. And we were at drama school together. So we were. She teaches. Yeah, and she sort of wrote the format for it. It was very located. She's wonderful. And also Lowell Crawley, our Oscar-winning DOP, who just felt so comfortable doing anything in front of Lowell. So that helped. He's also very silly himself. Very silly. Yeah, it's nice. It's a good vibe. Yeah.
And now, Elizabeth kind of mentioned this. The setting for the story, is it totally defined? It's kind of like an ambiguous Middle European village. How did the two of you sort of like deal with that just in writing? And then how did that sort of like translate throughout the production, that it was taking place in this sort of like unspecific time and place?
It was very freeing to sort of operate in that manner because, from a production design standpoint and everything, we were kind of like, we can do whatever we want here. And for us, it was really important to not set it in a specific time and place because we wanted this to feel kind of like a universal fable, you know, like something that everyone could kind of relate to no matter where they came from. And it was actually quite funny when we were having early meetings and bringing on department heads and so on, like everyone that we would talk to would be like, oh, this is the town I grew up in. And like, you know, from
Poland, Romania, where
all of
UK, yeah.
everyone sort of like had a relationship to what the village was, which is exactly what we wanted. But the, you know, the traditions and things, a lot of that was written into the script, these sort of like odd rituals that they do. And we sort of made up our own religion, I guess. But then once, you know, you start adding other members of the team, the costume designers, the production designers, like they too were, you know, sort of free to pull references from anywhere. And we all sort of pieced it together and made this little strange world that I think was cohesive. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to invent a whole culture for this. Like we picked and chose from wherever we wanted, and we made stuff up, and there was cohesion, and then it became this is a place. I mean,
Isn't it? It's like fun for the process, but also I think fun for the movie.
Yeah.
And was it freeing for the actors as well? Because one thing is just you didn't have to like invent an accent. Like everybody could kind of just talk how they talk.
well,
Yeah.
Everybody talked.
Not at once.
So
It was
the accents are all. There's no specific. We didn't want to specify it, so everybody chose per their character what they thought they should sound like.
My Brooklyn and New York accent. So I had to change that.
And was that fun for you all to like? What was how did you sort of land where you landed? Like, was it fun to like figure out what it was going to be?
Yeah. Oh, I just think it's really important if there's other family members in the movie, you should sound like other family members. But the basket maker could be from somewhere else. You know, that's the sort of fun. It's like when you do fantasy, everything's kind of British, but if you skew from it, people get confused, and it's like, well, it's not set in England; it's set in Loughborough. The rules are a little bit more bendable, but it's always if there's other family members in the movie, you should sound like.
I think Alex had probably had the most interesting time trying to figure out the voice because the Wicker husband is not from anywhere, you know. So
Yeah, I freaked out a bit when you didn't do your American accent. Because I was like, okay, everyone's doing kind of their own thing. It's a fable, so it can be from anywhere. So I'm like, I'll just do like an American then or should I do a British because there's something more kind of European? But like, no, it makes sense. I know that obviously Australian you did a northern, right, like a Newcastle.
a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a very heavy Yorkshire accent.
And a lot of other actors are from the UK, so it was predominantly British accents. And then this motherfucker showed up, and he started doing his, like, British accent. And I was like, wait.
You're also made of wicker, so it doesn't matter.
So I'm the only one from the States?
But that's the hard part about being an actor. We're so hard on ourselves about that, getting
Yeah.
right.
That made me relate. But then I was like, okay, well, these guys convinced me. I'm like, well, you're made out of wicker. You can do whatever you want. Plus, it's also like I'm completely covered. So if I also have a very different accent, it makes it nice that because people love me, so they want to listen to. So then I felt like at least it's my voice.
Well, we definitely wanted Alex to shine through the suit, and it's designed in his likeness, so that's part of it, but voice as well. But I think like where we landed was fairly neutral. Like I don't even think it really reads American.
Yeah, no, we kind of took away some. There were a couple in ADR we got rid of something like that. There, he said too.
What he sounds like.
He sounds absolutely perfect. And
Yeah.
it was never a question of accent as much as
This is
character.
yeah.
And Alex came in with the character 100% immediately, and it was incredible to watch.
Because the other thing that's very exciting about the movie is it sort of continues to pivot and kind of reinvent itself as it's going along. I think at first it feels like it's this sort of like story of self-discovery for the Fischer woman. Then it becomes a story of marriage. Then it kind of becomes a story more of the village. Like it keeps like opening up and sort of like pivoting. And can you just talk a little bit about the storytelling and the way you want to approach that?
We're very restless, easily distracted. No, we just like to keep it surprising. I mean, the short story is the 5 acts of the film, and we really filled in the village and the characters, and we changed a couple things about what happens, who does what. But that was the 5 act structure, and we thought it was perfect. And it does take turns, and they're fun.
Yeah. The structure, I think, was so clear, but like the filling out, I think, is probably where you're talking about like how things, you're in with this character and discovering more about this character now. And for us, that was just like the process of writing, and we kind of followed what felt fun and interesting to us about these people, because it's essentially it's a dressed up movie about relationships, really. And so it was like, how would these people react? How would these people react? And it was just so fun to kind of get into all of these people and, just turn them up. Like you said, it's just like,
Yeah.
where the set that? Is that you? Turn it up. You turned it up. Yeah, we turned them up. Yeah.
The tailor's wife really raised her hand while we were writing the script.
Right. Yeah.
As someone who, in the short story, was one of the village, and then we thought, there was just one line.
There's something about this lady.
Something about her, and so she became a bigger and bigger part of the movie.
And Elizabeth, I never thought I'd put these words together, but there's a very funny foot surgery scene in the movie, and I'm curious if you can talk just a little bit about that moment. There you go. There you go.
That scene involves a lot of our cast who are just the most wonderful group of actors. They are, a lot of them, am I correct in saying a lot of them are comedians as well as actors? And so mostly British. All British? Just like
Gustav's Swedish.
Oh, Gustav is Swedish. Okay. Truly like fantastic actors who came on to play the baker, the baker's wife, the innkeeper, the innkeeper's wife, the shoemaker, the shoemaker's wife. Like the village, just we were sort of, like movies often start small. So it was Olivia and Alex, and then I joined, and then Marley Sue, who's a beautiful Scottish actress who plays my half sister in the village, joined us. And then all of a sudden one day we came to set, and suddenly we had a village, and we had like 12, 13 amazing actors. And my father in this movie, I'm allowed to say, is played by the wonderful Richard E. Grant, who we had for one day of shooting. He plays the doctor, and he is the worst doctor you've ever seen or heard of. And obviously the tailor's wife would be an excellent doctor, but she's not allowed to be a doctor. So there's this scene that sort of is around Richard's character, and the whole village, well, a lot of village come together to try and perform this surgery. And so because it is in this miscellaneous sort of, it's not the Middle Ages, and yet the tech that they have available to them feels very Middle Age. The needle comes out and you go, oh, please don't let that go near someone's skin. It's like made of bone. It's this thick, it's bad news. And so we all play this scene together, and it was just, in all the years that I've been lucky enough to do this job, I have never actually had so much fun on a set. It was like doing a play. It was like doing a slapstick, a sort of French farce where characters come in, out, in, out. Richard is the centerpiece, and Gustav. And we just had like the most wonderful day on set. The scene was phenomenal on the page. And then when we actually got to play it, we rehearsed it in the evening. And then we just sort of felt like a company of actors who came together to make it. And it was hysterically funny. I don't usually do comedies because I'm not very funny. And so then I got to do one, and I, for the first time ever, experienced what it was like to actually corpse constantly, to laugh when you're not supposed to. And I did in this scene a lot. But luckily my face is sort of buried in the surgery the whole time, so you can't tell.
That was it was the second to last day of our shoot, actually, that scene. So it was kind of amazing because everyone had really gotten to know each other during the process, and it was like just kind of a joy to like just do this big silly scene like towards the end. Yeah.
I think it was a measure of how much everybody loved each other and how much everyone enjoyed making the film. Is lots of the cast have bought their own tickets to come to Sundance. I know, which I've never experienced in another job before. So yeah, see, down to you guys. You get so embarrassed when I say this. Alec.
You can't say nice things to us. It's shut down.
And now we have just a couple minutes. We can take some questions from the audience. We have a microphone, so if someone wants to raise their hand, we'll bring one over to you. Any takers? Anyone?
I don't know what to ask.
That's
I've
right.
seen them.
That's right. Well, oh, Mark.
It is kind of hard to come up with a question when we haven't seen the film yet, but I am curious to know where it's filmed and what went into choosing a location.
We shot in Budapest. We considered all of Europe, and then we whittled it down. And when we went to Budapest, we met with Royal Budapest, this incredible production services company, who we fell in love with, and they introduced us to heads of departments that we really, really liked a lot. And it reminded us of shooting movies in New York. It was this New York indie feeling, but in Budapest.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was partly like they had the right locations. You know, we scouted a couple of different places, different cities, but yeah, partly that, and yeah, like Alex said, we just really liked the people. It's a great film industry there, like with a deep bench of crew. You know, like it was a nice time.
Oh, we have one ready.
I just really enjoyed this panel. You all seemed like you really enjoyed making a movie and you had a blast. I'm just wondering if you will be able to, since this is a smaller panel, if you'll be able to show up for several screenings and giving a Q&A afterwards, or just only the first?
We will be at the first 2 screenings.
I know. I wish we could do all the Q&As with everybody. Yeah, it's just not possible. People, guest. We'll all be there for the first screening.
I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going wherever I'm told to go.
We're going to do, I think our plan is for the second script.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday morning.
Yeah.
To kick these guys out. They don't get to come to the Q&A, but we're going to have Weta.
Who made the suits
and
will be there.
Andy, who did the sound design, which a lot of that was also.
And
the suit.
composer.
The composer, yeah.
The music is a big.
So it'll be the craft.
I just remembered that Sarah and Joe, who did Weta, are a married couple, aren't they?
Yes, there's a lot of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Me and my husband produce a married couple.
And Royal Budapest married couple.
I know. Does that do anything?
Alex and I got married on the
yeah.
It's not official, yes.
For insurance reasons. Yeah.
But does that do anything to the vibes on set, or does it change like the tone of the production at all to have all these like actual couples floating around?
Yeah, it's funny because it sounds like a nightmare, doesn't it? It does. It was great. It worked out great. And our costume designer's not a couple, but there's 2 of them, and they look.
Yeah, they're
There's a lot of people silently judging each other on set.
Love how you guys take turns.
A lot of pinching, a lot of
They finish each other's sandwiches. Quote from Frozen. Got it. She got it. She does sandwiches.
And now, before we go, Alexander, I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. Your father, the mighty Stellan Skarsgård, was nominated for an Oscar yesterday. Have you spoken to him, and what has it been like for you to see him get this sort of attention and acclaim at this point in his life and career?
A little jealous. Yeah, good for him, I guess.
And with that, we're going to wrap this up.
Thank you.
And then after, I want you to stay in their seats while our panelists leave the room. Thanks, everybody.